Hello there, and welcome to NCBA Money Mastery, where we teach you how to make your money work for you. My name is Willy Mahumu, and I'm excited about numbers because at NCBA, the numbers that matter to you most certainly matter to us. And here are some numbers that should matter to every man. Did you know that you only need 2,000 shillings to open a savings account? Did you know that you can borrow up to 95% of what you have already saved? And did you know that there are zero monthly fees on your savings account? We thought you should know as we start today's show. Okay, as we begin Money Mastery Season 3, we would like to shine a light on the relationship between you and your money. And we would like to start by looking at the topic men and money. We all know that every man is unique in his own respect. However, there are certain things that cut across all men. There are certain things that are common to all men. For instance, the heavy weight we carry of expectations from society and from families and societies at large, not to mention the overwhelming burden of comparisons with our peers. Now, to help us unpack these issues, we have partnered with leading wealth creation education company Centonomy. And here with us on the show today is CEO and lead trainer at Centonomy, Mr. Waithaka Gatumia. So very wonderful it is to have you on the show, Waithaka. Welcome.
What a pleasure to be here, Willy. Thank you so much for having us. Willy, you know, at Centonomy, we are all about education on financial matters, about building wealth. You guys are the ones who sell the financial products. We sell the education. And therefore, it is such a pleasure to be here to empower your clients and the viewers who are watching us today.
Thank you, Waithaka. We are also happy to have you on the show. Waithaka, now you know there are three key words that are commonly used when we are talking about men: expectation, ambition, pressure. I'm curious to know what is your perspective on how these three can affect the relationship between a man and his money.
Yeah. Wow, Willy. I mean, in Kenya, we have sayings, and I'm sure people are familiar with this. Mwanaume ni effort, mwanaume ni kazi, mwanaume ni kujikaza, all these different things that we say. And they add pressure to our life. So when you talk about expectation, we're talking about what does everyone else expect from you? What does society expect? Your family? What are they looking for? Everybody else, your community, your traditions, all those things put pressure on your life. Then there's your personal ambition, and that ambition is also linked to, isn't it, your friends, people around you, your colleagues. There's pressure. That pressure that comes when somebody in your office buys a new car. Then you feel like, hey, where am I at this point? And then you start talking about the pressure that you put on yourself. So when we discuss this is really about all the voices that are speaking to you. And when it comes to the pressure that you're facing, the easiest way to get out of it is to make your voice the loudest. I'm speaking to you, gentlemen at home. Make your voice the loudest. You cannot please everybody in your life. You can't please society, your traditions, your family, everybody. But you can be able to achieve the goals that you set for yourself. So make your voice the loudest. When you make your voice the loudest, it becomes the goal that you're working towards. It becomes now your ambition that sets up that goal that you're facing. And then it becomes much easier to focus on that. If you're pleasing everybody, it just doesn't work out. It's much easier to figure it out when it's your personal voice, your personal ambition, Willy.
Thank you, Waithaka. And I have two more that I can add for you. Mwanaume ni kiatu or mwanaume ni mshipi. There are so many.
There are many. There are so many.
I agree. But on the same point of making your voice the loudest, I'd just like our viewers to know, or our audience to know, that we have very seasoned and qualified relationship managers who are willing to walk with you all throughout your journey. So if you have a goal that you would like some outside opinion from a financial institution, you can easily walk into our branches and talk to our relationship managers, and they'll be happy to assist you. Okay, moving along swiftly, Waithaka, with the discussion of today. Now, how can a man tell that they have the right ambition? How can they tell that they're aiming towards the right goal?
Wow, Willy, that's a really powerful question. And it's linked to what we've been discussing already. So you see at Centonomy, when you walk into a class that we run, we ask you the question, what do you want? So remember, we're clearing out the noise from the voices that are out there. So when you know now what it is that you want to make it a goal. Let's take savings, for example, okay? So many people say, I'm saving, for instance, for a rainy day. What rainy day? When? How much will it cost you? You see, it's a very vague idea. And when things are vague, it's very difficult to put together a financial plan that's going to get you there. So let's change it from saying I'm saving towards a rainy day and say I'm putting together an emergency fund. An emergency fund, for instance, is to have cash available when things happen that you're not prepared for. But how much cash? Let's measure it. So let's say I want, this last year of COVID has taught us we need to have money available, isn't it, Willy? So we want to have, let's say, 6 to 12 months of our monthly expenses in an account so that I can survive for 6 months as I find some new way of earning income. So you see, that's something that's measurable. I can work towards it very clearly. So I'll figure out how much do I need per month. Then I multiply by 6, and that becomes my goal, my target that I'm aiming towards. Because Willy, saving is boring. You know this. Saving and investing is boring if you have nothing that you're aiming towards. But now that we've set it as a goal, I can now be energized and work towards it. I can see as I save every month, I'm coming closer and closer to my target. When I achieve it, I can celebrate. But if I don't know what I'm saving towards, it's just boring. It's hard to keep up the energy. And as you said, to make it as clear as possible, to make it easy as possible to work towards that goal. That's what we're trying to do. Now I have something that I'm aiming towards. Let's say it's next year. We were talking about this before, Willy, isn't it? People are planning, let's say, for instance, for the next WRC rally next year in Naivasha, isn't it? So make that a goal, Willy. Say, I want in the next 12 months by June 2022 to have raised 50,000 shillings to go and enjoy it. Now you can work backwards and say, okay, how much do I need to save or invest to get towards that goal? If you don't have that, then it's hard to plan. And once you have it, then now you can choose whichever financial instrument is going to get you to your goal. So set it up and then work backwards and say, what am I actually going to do on a regular basis to get there?
Okay, thank you, Waithaka. I feel like you're tricking men because the reason why we just say rainy days when Naivasha comes up, you quickly say, okay, this is why I was saving. This is why I was saying a rainy day. But now that you're saying we we have it specific.
Make a Naivasha plan, Willy. Don't say rainy day.
I see your drift. I see where you're going. Yeah, but I like what you're saying. That let us have it specific so that we are not tempted when Naivasha comes up and the next Naivasha comes up. You're tempted to take the funds that you put aside for a specific emergency and utilize it for something probably you're not pretty proud of later. Remembering that some of us, the rainy day comes on Friday. If you get what I mean. Okay, so I think we have now talked about setting goals, yeah? And you and I know that setting goals is the easier part of the equation, okay? There is the more difficult part of the equation, which is sticking to that goal. So my question is, how can a man build that discipline to stick to the goals that they have committed themselves to achieving?
So remember, we're going step by step. Willy, we started off by saying you need to make sure your voice is the loudest. So it becomes you who's setting those goals for yourself. The emergency fund we're putting, the Vasha plan for next year, all these become part of your goal. Now you know how much it is that you're working towards. So you now can be able to break it down and say, so 50,000 next year, I want, how much do I need to do on a monthly basis between now and next year? So that now becomes my regular investment number. Why is that number so important? Because, as we said, doing this, try to be disciplined every month to think that you're going to sit down every time your paycheck comes in or the money comes into your house, that you're going to be thinking, okay, now where does this cash go? You will lose out. So here's the thing. When you've worked it out, make it automated. Just make it simple. Make it a habit that I know every month between now and June 2022, I'm putting aside 5,000 shillings for my Naivasha plan. Every month between now and the next 5 years, I'm putting aside 10,000 shillings for my emergency fund. And you just automate it. You make it simple for yourself where you just send it out without even thinking. It has to become a habit in order for us to remain focused. If you try and do it on a regular basis by yourself, having to rethink, it doesn't work. So make it automated, make it habitual, so that your saving and investment is consistent over time. Set the goal that you're aiming for, and then just do it on a regular basis, Willie.
Automate, automate, automate. I like what you're saying. I hear you completely. And I love the fact that you've mentioned a standing order, because with a standing order here at NCBA, we can make it so simple for you so that immediately your funds come into your current account. Whatever amount you've chosen to save into your emergency fund automatically is transferred to your savings account, so that you don't have to put in any effort. You don't have to go to the branch. You don't have to call anyone. It's automated and absolutely easy for you. Now, with that, I'd like us to move away from setting goals just for a minute and talk about another set of numbers that matter to most men. Net worth. What is my real net worth?
Okay, maybe you need to sit back, Willie, because I'm going to be a bit controversial for a few minutes. I hope, guys, you'll stick with me, okay? So when people normally talk about your net worth, if you're doing an accounting class, people will say, okay, look at all the things that you own, your furniture, your TV, maybe your car, your house, the land that you bought somewhere. So they'll add all those things up and then subtract all your debt, and then what's left is your net worth, okay? No problem. That's accounting. But let's get real about personal finance. Let's talk about that TV, for example, Willie. The TV that you bought for 50,000 shillings, it's there in your house, you sit and you watch it. Guess what? Yes, you own it, but that TV will never actually give you a financial return. You bought it, you're consuming it, it's yours, you could sell it, but your intention is not to sell that TV. Let me make it more emotional for the guys who are watching. The car that you own, financially, what is the benefit to you personally? Hey, a car is a great thing. Hey, I own a couple of them. Cars make you as convenient as possible to get around. They make you feel good about yourself. But that car actually takes money out of my pocket, never puts money in my pocket, and then it's also losing value over time. Let me make it even more emotional than that. Gentlemen, the house that you own and you live in, did you know that? Did you notice it doesn't actually put money in your pocket? It actually takes money out. You have to maintain it. You have to pay taxes on that house, depending on where it is. So I want us as men to begin to think differently. Watch this, guys. I want you to think about, what are the items that I own, the assets that I own that are putting money in my pocket? Because one of the secrets of wealth creation, if you talk about people who have generated wealth, is they have assets that are generating value for them. I want us as men to be building assets that will be putting enough money in my pocket to live in my own house, to drive that car, and to watch that television that I own. That now, Willie, is my real net worth. So gentlemen, I want you to do an assessment of yourself. How much do you own that's putting money in your pocket rather than taking it out? So let's get some examples. If you own a business, that business is generating value and it puts money in your pocket. That rental property that you bought and you have a tenant there, you're not living there, you have a tenant, they're putting money in your pocket. That piece of land that you intend to sell, when it appreciates, it will put money in your pocket. Begin to think about those items, not the ones that you consume. If the more you have, the greater the wealth that you're going to build. So men, you have to do that assessment, Willie.
Thank you, Waithaka. I think my accounting teacher, if you're watching this, we may need to talk aside and you tell me how you are going to return to me my fees. Because I realize the formula, Waithaka, you're giving me is very different from what I'd learned. You know, now you've removed my house, you've removed my car, heck, you've even removed my television. So I think most men are wondering, you brought down our net worth to zero. What's up with that?
Willie, isn't it beneficial that people know the truth? Because when you come into a session where people are learning about their personal finance, they're coming for their own personal growth. They want to know the truth. How do I build wealth? And so I have to tell you, yes, it's a good thing to own and they have financial value, but your intention with those items is not to make money. So I want you to, as you're building your own home, please build it, buy your car, that's okay. But also always think, what assets am I building that will put money in my pocket and take care of me in my house, my car, and all those things. Hey, Willy, your teacher didn't lie to you. He was just teaching you accounts for the office, for the work that you do.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you, Waithaka. Very profound. I think what you're saying is true. We need to focus on assets that put money in our pocket. Period. And I like the fact that you've also mentioned that you could acquire a house, you could acquire property, you could acquire a car, not necessarily only for personal use, but also for commercial purposes, meaning it's bringing some income to you and therefore contributes positively towards your net worth. Okay, Waithaka, before we go to the open session and get to see what questions our viewers are sending through, perhaps if you would wrap up today's session in 3 simple points, what would those be?
Sure. It's a breakdown of what we've discussed. If you've just joined us, number 1, set your personal goals. Make sure it is yours, not the noise from everybody else. Set a goal that you're aiming towards, because it will focus your mind. If you're just saving or investing, boring, doesn't work. Save towards something. Go towards something. Make it a goal and you'll be able to achieve it. Number 2, use that goal to work backwards to your real time or your actual investment number. It becomes an actual number that you're going to be putting aside for saving or investment on a regular basis, so that it stops being something you have to think about every month. It becomes regular, habitual, automated. That really helps you in terms of focusing and achieving your goals. Then, gentlemen, please, as we just talked about, do an assessment of your real net worth. Of all the things that you own and have worked so hard for and put money into, how many of them are putting money back into your pocket, are earning you a return? Those are the assets that give you financial freedom. So, Willy, I know you asked me for those 3 things. I have one more to add. Gentlemen, next week on the 15th of July, we have a more in-depth webinar for you. It's a free webinar that you can sign up for. There's an email below this link. Please email us so that you can be able to register for that webinar, where we can go more in-depth in this wealth creation journey, men and money. How do we overcome and how do we build the wealth that we've been looking for? I'm really looking forward to that, Willy, and I hope you'll be with us as well next week.
Thank you, and well put, Waithaka. Well put. I believe everyone, you've had the holy grail on the 3 simple things, 3 simple tactics or tips that you can use to set yourself on the path for financial success. And I like the fact that Waithaka has opened a door to another, more comprehensive, in-depth session come next week. I'm hoping you'll take advantage of that. Would like to take a quick break. Then when we come back, we'll be answering your questions. Please feel free to send any questions you may have on the chat box. We'll be happy to hear from you. Do not go away. Thank you.
With our NCBA car loan, you can also get insurance for your car for up to 1 year, and all this within a 24-hour time frame.
Hey, Daddy, we will do 12 visits to Grandma, 8 road trips with Mommy, 52 trips to see my cousins.
We know that it's not about the car, but the journeys. Get your NCBA Asset Finance Loan approved in just 24 hours, as well as your car insurance. The name is NCBA, and the numbers that matter to you matter to us. NCBA Bank. Go for it.
Answer question 3. Okay. Welcome back to NCBA Money Mastery from the bank that says go for it. We have been speaking to Mr. Waithaka Gatumia, CEO Centonomy, our knowledge partner on the topic men and money. Okay, it's time to get your questions. Please allow me to go right into it. And we start by Jeff. Jeff is saying, I love the conversation. Thank you, Jeff. We also love the fact that you're following. What are the 3 objectives that you would advise a man? So Jeff is asking a very interesting question to you, Waithaka. What are the 3 objectives would you advise a man in his 20s to focus on? To you, Waithaka.
Wow, in 20s, a whole lifetime ago. Wow. In your 20s, gentlemen, the young men who are in the room, I'll give you 3 ideas that you can work on. Number 1, your number 1 priority is growth. You're trying to see, how do I grow my career? Because as I grow in my career, my income increases. How do I grow my business? Because as I grow my business, my income increases. Right now, one of the primary goals of your investment strategy is growth. Because now, if you're in your 20s, you have time. You have time to your 40s. You have another 20 years and half a lifetime to go. You have another 40 years to your 60s. So your focus at this point is growth. You're looking for investments that will give you a good return over time. That's your first priority, because that's what's going to get you the wealth that you're looking for. The second one is, as you grow, please, gentlemen, we have to learn to multitask when we're investing. The second one is this: you need also to be putting aside some cash for emergencies. That's the savings process. So you're saving a little bit of cash so that should we come into a tough time like what we've been over the last year or so, there's some money to take care of you over that period of time. So you're going to be doing both things. The priority is growth, but you also at the same time must be saving some money that you can use in an emergency. And here's the thing, Willie, I know guys in their 20s are wondering, but how much do I actually have? It's not about the amount, gentlemen. It is about the process, the habit that you're getting into. Because the amount will only grow over time. You are full of potential at this point. You'll earn more over time. What you're looking for is that habit. So as money comes in, you save some, you invest some. The third thing, Willie, in your 20s, this is the time for you to set ambitious goals for yourself. Set that goal and be very clear. I'd like to drive this kind of car. Now, please understand, it may not come in the next 2 or 3 years, but you've set it as a goal. So all your actions will help you to get to that point. I want to live in a house like that one there. Figure out how much does it cost. I want to live in that estate. How much does it cost? So that now all your actions are going in that direction. You begin to figure out how to get there if you know what the goal is. Thanks, Willie.
Thank you, Waithaka. Very interesting. I love your perspective on how you're going about it. And I also like the fact that you've mentioned it's not about the money. It's about the strategy. It's about the plan. It's about the process and building the right habit. Okay, on to our next question. And this is by Grace. And Grace, thank you for supporting the boy child in this conversation. And Grace is asking, is it better to save for an asset like a car? Is it better to save for an asset like a car? Or should I just take a loan? How can I make this decision? To you, Waithaka.
Wow, Willie. So with money and investment, it's really dependent on your current situation, okay, and where you are. So if you have a regular income, let's say you have a job and that job is pretty secure and you know that there's a cash flow coming through, then borrowing to buy a car is not a bad thing. It can actually get you there. For most people, their first car they're going to get, you might borrow to buy it. Obviously, because it's a car, as we talked about earlier, it's not an asset that's putting money in your pocket. You want to save as much money as possible as you can. So if you can save up and buy the car, even better. But borrowing is not a bad idea. The issue is this: what is your situation and how much car can you afford? One of the mistakes that people make is that they buy a car that is way beyond their means. So yes, it's wonderful. You look like you're doing well, but you're under pressure because of the loan repayments that are coming through. Because it's a bigger car, it takes more fuel. Because it's so precious to you. You don't want to let other people wash it, so you have to take it for car wash. How much car can you afford? So look for the car that you can afford, and if you have to borrow, make sure that you can afford to repay that loan. But if you can save up, even better. So it's dependent on the situation that you're in. Everyone is different. You need to do a personal assessment and then make that choice.
Okay, thank you, Waithaka. I like the fact that you've looked at both sides of the coin, that you can save if it works for you, you can borrow if it works for you, but the most important thing is you have to assess your financial position. You have to know what you want, go for it. You also have to ensure that it's your voice you're listening to and not the voice of others. And perhaps from an NCBA point of view, what I like to tell Grace is that NCBA is there to support you either way you choose, either way you go. If you would like to save, well and good, we have investment products that will be able to support you and help you with that. On the other side, if you choose and would like some kind of financial help to be able to acquire the asset that you know will put you at the level that you'd like to be in, NCBA is also willing and ready to support you. Okay, please allow me to take the next question, and this is from Chris. And Chris is asking, which accounts does NCBA have that can enable me save for a goal? Which accounts does NCBA have that can enable me to save for a goal? And I'll take this one. And I like the fact that you're asking these real questions out of the conversation that we've had today. And I'd like to start with the savings account, which was mentioned when we were talking about setting up an emergency fund. The savings account is a good place to start from, where you get to save, you get to earn your interest, and over and above everything, you get to enjoy the flexibility of you being able to get your funds if and when there is an emergency that you find that you have no other way and you need those funds to be able to sort yourself out. On the other side, if you have those long-term goals, remember, Waithaka has mentioned that you need to have a plan, okay? You need to know where you are going. You need to know, this is how I intend to build my network. This is how I intend to build myself. So therefore, if you have those long-term plans, you can also choose to go for a 3-month, 6-month, 9-month, or even 12-month fixed deposit, so that the funds are out of your reach. Not necessarily because you can still liquidate, but at least you're not tempted to easily go and tap in there until the point comes when you want to now pursue that goal that you had in mind. Okay? All right. I'd like to look at the final question, and this is from Kwanza, and she's asking, what products can you suggest? What products can you suggest to a man who wants to save for a rainy day? I think this is just reiterating on what we've talked about, Waithaka, but I'll let you give your own perspective on the same. She's asking, what products can you suggest for a man who wants to save for a rainy day?
So here's the thing. I love that there's a clear outcome that you're looking for. So first of all, don't be general. Be clear what that rainy day looks like. Make it a clear number. I'm saving a certain amount so that I can survive for a certain amount of time, like 6 months of my income. That's just a general rule of thumb you can use. So I've set that amount. So what do you want? What do you want to achieve? You want to achieve security so that you can find the money when you need it. And number two, you want access. So if I need that money, I can access it and not have to go through too many hoops. So the primary idea with your investments and with your savings is to match the investment to the goal. You have to match them, because if you know what the goal is, then you look for the investment type that's going to get you there. So now we've talked about it. It's for an emergency fund. So you're looking for security and access. We talked about it before in this session. A savings account, wonderful. Fixed deposit accounts can be excellent. You can look at places like SACCOs, savings and credit cooperatives. That's a great place to save and invest. You can also look at money market funds. So this is a different type of investment, but a money market fund does have that relative security, but it also has access should you need that money. So you look for an investment that matches your goal. And anytime you're going out there, don't just take something and not ask questions. I want to encourage all the people listening, when you're dealing with financial products and services, ask all the questions you need to, because that's when you get the help and the right product or service to meet what you need. I hope that's helpful, Willy.
Waithaka, and I really love the fact that you're taking time to cover these questions broadly so that it's clear and everyone understands exactly what they need to do from their personal standpoint to now start mapping their journey towards the success and financial goal that they do have in mind. Okay, let me go to the next question, and this is from Eric. Thank you for tuning in, Eric. We love the fact that you're on the show. Eric is asking, do you have any other accounts other than the savings account that I can open with a lower balance? And I'll take that, Waithaka. Okay, currently, Eric, we do have a Go Banking current account, which you only need 500 shillings to be able to open, and that's all that you will need to pay upfront before you get the account. And the account will have you set up on mobile banking, internet banking. You basically will be able to do everything that you ordinarily may need to do with a bank account. You'll also get a debit card, a checkbook, and then you'll be set. This is going to be a current account, so it will help you with your daily transactions, and you can believe that we will be there to hold your hand throughout the journey. Okay, please allow me to take the next question. And this one is from Charles. And Charles is saying, hello, I joined while the speaker was mentioning a relationship manager service offered by NCBA. Could you please provide more information about the service? Thank you for joining us, Charles. We love the fact that you're on the show. We also love the fact that you're trying to find out how best we can be able to help in terms of having a relationship manager for you to manage your accounts, to help you with all the banking solutions that you may be in need of. So as far as NCBA is concerned, when you open an account, you'll be assigned a dedicated relationship manager. This relationship manager will be there to hold your hand in everything. And when you say everything, we mean everything. When you want to set up a goal to buy a car, to buy a house, to own property, to take your kids to the schools that you may want them to enjoy, okay, anything that you do have, okay? The relationship manager will be there to advise you, to guide you, to inform you how the bank can come in and support you. So all I will request you is to visit your nearest branch. Just go to customer service. Once the account is opened, you will have a relationship manager who can start walking that journey with you. Just give me a minute. I see the next question. And I'm seeing many questions loading in. And the last one, I think, is talking about money market. I think, Waithaka, would you want to say something about money market, probably from your standpoint as a financial expert?
So as we said before, Willy, you want to understand the investment that you're putting in. So it's a very general question. What is a money market? Essentially, this is it. A money market fund is a fund where you have a manager, and everybody brings and puts their money into that fund, and this manager invests the money for you, okay? Now, please understand, there are different types of funds that are out there. So you've got a money market fund, you've got an equity fund, you've got a bonds fund, you've got a balanced fund. Now, when you hear what type of fund it is, that tells you what the manager is investing in. So when you hear money market, they're investing in the money market, like bank deposits, like treasury bills, those short-term secure kind of investments. And so it's almost close to a savings account. So you're not getting a lot of growth, general security, and you can access. You might hear of something like an equity fund. So an equity fund, that manager is investing in equities, in shares in the stock market. So there's a bit more volatility, but there might also be a higher possible rate of return. So there maybe you're looking for growth rather than security. So when you invest in any kind of fund, and that's a key part, you have to know what you're investing for. So again, you match the right investment to it. Anytime people come into a Centonomy class, that's what we're trying to get people to do. And that's what we're doing here, is to inform you so that you can make the right decision for you, what you're going to invest in. I hope that's helpful, Willy, in the 2 seconds you've given me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Waithaka. I believe that is definitely helpful. And I think what the viewer wanted to find out are the options that are available. And I love the fact that we mentioned the savings account, we've mentioned the fixed deposit, and we also mentioned money market for those who would prefer to go that route. Okay, Waithaka, I think on the same breath, would you want to say something in regards to insurance, our insurance products? What is your feel about them?
So insurance is a good thing to have. Why? Because there are certain things that you cannot plan for, you cannot prepare, and if something occurs, you can be able to be compensated. Let's say, for instance, car insurance. If you take car insurance and your car gets into an accident, you can't tell when that accident is going to come. It protects you so that when that accident happens, you can get compensated to fix your car, maybe to fix the other person's car if it's necessary. And that cash doesn't have to come out of your current account, your savings account, or any other assets that you have. So insurance is really powerful like that. The same thing with medical insurance, for instance. You don't know if you're going to get sick, and it can be really expensive when you get sick. So that medical insurance kicks in should you fall ill over a period of time. So insurance is very useful for protection when you're trying to protect your assets and the things that you have. That's what insurance is for.
I think that's also quite profound for our viewers to know, because without insurance, you can find that you're spending so much on something that you would have paid a relatively low amount of money to get yourself insured, and that doesn't jeopardize you when by mistake or something happens that you could not have necessarily foreseen.
Yeah.
And with that, our viewers, our time is almost up. Waithaka, I would like to request you if you have any parting shots that you like our audience to go out of this conversation with, please.
Yeah. So as always, at Centonomy, we are all about education for your wealth creation journey. That's what we want to do. And so I'm so excited that next week on the 15th, we have a more in-depth webinar, which you can sign up for on the email that is below this. That's the personal banking at NCBA Group. You can be able to, ncbagroup.com. You can be able to register as a gentleman to come. So we have a more in-depth discussion around men and money. Some of the strategies that you can be able to put in place, that you can be able to grow. And that's what we're about. We're about education for your wealth creation journey. Willy, each one of us has to take responsibility for our own financial journey. We cannot keep blaming the government, serikali. No, we cannot keep blaming our education. Imagine that past, get educated today. We can't blame the economy. We can't blame everybody else. We have to take personal responsibility. Everyone is functioning within these same bounds. Let's find a way to break out and find the freedom that we want. That's what it's all about. So thank you so much for having us here, Willy. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Waithaka, and right back at you. It has been a pleasure to have you on the show. To our viewers, unfortunately, that's all the time we had on this first edition of NCBA Money Mastery, powered by Centonomy. Like Waithaka has mentioned, there will be a webinar next week. You can send in your request to be part of that webinar to our email address, personalbanking@ncbagroup.com. I repeat, personalbanking@ncbagroup.com. We are going to pin that email address on the comments so that you can easily make reference to. Also, you can visit our website to get more details on the products that NCBA can offer you. Visit our website, that is ncbagroup.com. We would love to hear your voice, so feel free to call the numbers on your screen. And finally, you can please like, follow, and subscribe to our social media handles. I have been your host, Willy Mahumu, and until next time, when we do get to revisit the numbers that matter most to you, goodbye and keep safe.